All right, what is up? What is up? What is up to another episode of the Demonic Wave podcast? And as always, it is your favorite demon, misunderstood demon as a host. And today I'm going to be talking about the Cowboy Bebop live action that is up on Netflix. And yes, I've watched it. I've rewatched the anime to compare the two. And of course, there's the good, there's the bad, there's the things they really paid homage to. That's pretty good. There's things they could have changed that I feel could have, gone on in this live action. But overall, I'm going to be talking about the whole thing, all 10 episodes. I'm going to be talking about how I feel about it, from coming from watching the anime beforehand and watching it afterwards. I'm going to be talking about the characters, not much the plot. I'll talk about it here and there and everything like that. But first and foremost, I do recommend that you watch it because it is pretty good. I think currently it's number 1 on Netflix. I could be wrong about that. But definitely check it out. You know what I'm saying? They did put a lot into it, to pay homage to the anime and everything like that. But of course, I got my gripes. I got the negatives and the positives and everything like that. So get ready. We're going to be tearing into it. And let's see what it's all about. All right, and so the first segment for this, I'm gonna briefly talk about the plot of Cowboy Bebop, live action and everything like this, because it's basically the same as the anime, but they did switch up some things. So, anime-wise, Cowboy Bebop is literally about, Spike and Jet, and they're bounty hunters and everything. They're in space. They do bounty hunts and everything. They pick up Faye Valentine, Radical Ed, Ein, the Corgi, and everything like that. And it's basically just their adventures throughout the series. It's them being bounty hunters, catching bounties and everything like that. Of course, there are some episodes that get very into their backstories. For example, Spike, about him being, in the syndicate and, finding the girl that he loves. Faye Valentine, figuring out who she is as a person. She was cryogenically asleep for a while. Jet being a ex-cop and resolving his issues. Radical Ed, she doesn't really have much, but yeah. But the live action of Cowboy Bebop, they do they do focus on the bounty hunting, but what they do differently from the anime is they focused a lot more on Spike. Syndicate wise, they focused heavily on his backstory and everything connecting in that sense. So Spike being fearless, and he used to be in the syndicate, he was supposed to be dead and everything like that. They heavily focused on that throughout the entirety of the thing. Every single episode, the syndicate was present in some form of way, whether there was an assassin they sent to try and kill Spike, or it's straight up the whole fucking episode is just about the syndicate. So they heavily focused on that. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. I felt like that was cool because it was just they really took those plot points from the anime and they kind of really expanded on it. So there was nothing wrong about that. I just felt like they could have toned it down a little bit. Really focused a lot more on the bounties, maybe followed a couple more of the episodes, a little better. But based on the episodes that they did follow, they did pretty good. Of course, they added in syndicate parts that weren't in the anime and everything like that. But, it wasn't bad. The plot itself, it was pretty good. I liked it and everything like that. But like I said, this isn't going to be a long segment. If you've seen the anime, you know what's up about it. If you've seen the live action, But yeah, the plot is literally just bounty hunters and backstories. But for the live action, it focuses on one character's backstory the most. And that's mostly it. But and get ready for the next segment. We're going to be talking about the characters. Okay, and now we're on to the next segment, and I'll be talking about the characters. Now, usually when it comes to live actions, they're usually shit. I've seen the Avatar movie and that was crap. I've seen a couple other anime live actions and they were all just awful. And that was just because the characters themselves, they did not portray them good. They just weren't good. But this live action, Cowboy Bebop, it was actually pretty good. They really portrayed the characters pretty well. Of course, there were some parts that I didn't agree with, especially after rewatching the anime. So, for example, Spike, it was pretty spot on in a sense, laid back, but when things get bumpy, he jumps into action and everything like that. It was pretty similar throughout the live action, and then, from anime to live action, it was pretty good. They could have, toned it down a little bit, here and there in the live action, but, Spike was pretty spot on. For Jet, they did decently well with Jet. I think they portrayed him well. It's just that throughout the live action, they really went on the ex-cop trait a little too heavy for Jet throughout the live action. What I'm saying is because, of course, Jet is, he's an ex-cop, and he turned to a bounty hunter after, shit went down and, he lost his arm and everything. But throughout the live action, the way they betrayed him throughout the episodes, especially the second half of it, so like episode 6 to 10, they really weighed heavily on that trait for Jet. And it almost felt like, as you're watching it, like Jet wanted to be a cop again, in a sense, because he's always talking about, doing cop stuff and everything like that. Now, of course, he doesn't want to be a cop, I'm pretty sure, but that's the way they kind of portrayed him in the live action. Whereas in the anime, he doesn't want to be a cop. He's a bounty hunter through and through. He, there were some episodes where, he was a cop again, in a sense, like with his partner and stuff like that. But in the anime, you didn't really get that sense of feeling like, oh, Jet wants to go back to that life of being a cop and, justice and all that shit. But in the live action, you kind of get that sense of, that sense of, he kind of would like to go back to that type of life, For Faye Valentine, she was portrayed pretty well. There were some parts I didn't like. She was, in the live action, she was a little too much on certain parts. Like, she really was a little out of character from the anime. Now, of course, in the anime, Faye Valentine, she does her own thing usually. She works with, Spike and Jet, but she's always, doing her own thing, her own way and everything like that. And, in the live action, she does. That's how she works. But I don't know. It was okay, but it just didn't feel like it was her at some points, I don't really know how to explain it, but it felt like, how can I put it? She was trying a little too hard to be Faye Valentine, the actress who was playing her. She tried a little too hard in a sense. That doesn't really explain much, but that's kind of how I see it. It's like they were trying to be Faye Valentine, but then she tried to go above and beyond, but then went too above and beyond in a sense. Of course, for Radical Ed, she didn't have much screen time. She was literally the last episode. And I'm going to talk about that in my gripes, the negatives about it. I'm going to talk about that. But one character I felt was really good was the dog, Ein. They really portrayed that Corgi really portrayed Ein really well. Yeah, favorite character, best character right there, And I mean, come on, it's a dog. If the dog isn't the best character, is not your favorite character in Cowboy Bebop, what are you doing with your life? I mean, it's a dog. It's a Corgi. Come on. Who doesn't love a dog? But yeah. But another thing about the characters, let me get into their outfits, because their outfits were actually really good. For Spike, it was spot on. I'm not even gonna lie with you. The way he the button up suit, the blue suit and everything like that. The hair could have been a little bit more hair, but it was pretty good. For Jet, the little thing on his cheek, his robotic arm, his threads and everything like that. They really were just like, we're really gonna take these outfits and really just put them in live action. You know what I'm saying? Like, they didn't, fuck up the outfits. For Faye Valentine, hers was pretty good. I felt like, just because after coming from the anime and seeing it, it was slightly different, and I was just like, damn, I kind of wish it was like exactly like in the anime. But overall, outfits were great. Characters, they were portrayed pretty well. Some of them, they weighed a little too heavy on certain traits within the characters. Some of them went above and beyond. Dog is the best character of all time. And yeah, so that's this segment about the characters. So the next segment I'm going to be talking about will be the negatives, the things I feel that they could have done a little bit better to portray the anime in a sense. So get ready for that. Okay, so next segment, I'm going to be talking about the negatives throughout the live action that I felt they could have done better, when bringing it from the anime, my gripes and everything like that. So first and foremost, the story. Now, the story itself, it wasn't bad, but they really weighed heavily on the syndicate background for Spike. They really did that, in my sense, too much. Because I mean, even in the anime, they didn't do that. They didn't weigh heavily on the syndicate and everything like that. Most of the episodes, it was just them, being bounty hunters with like, some like minutes here and there about the syndicate, or Jet being a cop, or Faye and her backstory and everything like that. But it never felt like, oh yeah, like the overall plot for Cowboy Bebop is, the syndicate and everything like that. Now, of course, it was important to the story, but with the live action, they really took that and ran with it. And they were like, yeah, so we're gonna take the syndicate stuff and we're really just going to expand on it. Which, I mean, is not a bad thing, but, when it comes to a live action, you kind of want to follow the story a little bit more than, just taking the liberty of switching things up. Now, of course, it wasn't that bad, but it is a gripe for me, because I felt like they could have done a lot better with that. Another thing was Radical Ed. She just wasn't in the fucking live action, except for the last, 2 minutes of the literally last episode. And a lot of people who have come from watching the anime to watching the live action, it was really split. I read a lot of reviews and people talking about the last episode. I do kind of agree that they could have done better with that last episode. Radical Ed, she could have come back a little bit earlier on within the series and everything, like how the anime was, she joined the crew and everything like that. But the way they portrayed her, and the fact that she came in last second, in a sense, and it's in the last few episodes, Jet was getting information from Radical Ed, so it's just oh snap, Radical Ed, that's cool. But then you never get to see her until last episode. So I felt like they could have handled the introduction of Radical Ed a little bit better, and they could have introduced her, as part of it, in a sense, she is here, it's not oh, you're gonna have to wait till season fucking 2 to get her her main role throughout the series. You know what I'm saying? Another thing that I felt was a little bit of a negative, honestly, it was the way Jet and Spike's relationship went in the last few episodes. Now, in the anime, they, in a sense, they're still friends and everything like that, And Jet, he kicked Spike off, he kicked him off the Bebop in a sense. But then when Spike came back and Jet was like, "Did you bring the bounty?" and Spike was like, "Nah," and then Jet was just like, "Get on the ship." You never got that sense that, oh yeah, Jet, doesn't like Spike anymore. Because in the anime, Jet knew about Spike a little bit, about his backstory, and that, he used to be in the syndicate and that he got out and everything like that. In the anime, Jet knew this, and Spike knew a little about Jet, about, being a cop and everything like that. They knew that. But in the live action, they didn't. Spike knew that Jet was an ex-cop, and everything. I don't think he knew about the arm stuff. I don't think Jet told him exactly what happened. I think he told him later. But Jet never knew about Spike being in the syndicate. That's how they really wrote that. The live action was just like, make sure Jet doesn't know anything until last minute. And then when Jet found out, that, oh yeah, Spike used to be fearless. He used to be in the syndicate. He used to be a hitman and everything like that. He blows up, and then you're just like, well, this isn't how, their relationship was in the anime. And so it was just like, and then when you're watching the live action, Jet like kicks Spike off the ship. He kicks him off the Bebop, but it's the way he said it. It's the way he looked. And it looked like, damn, this friendship is over, like over. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way to rekindle this friendship in a sense. And it's just like, it was a little weird, because it was just like, I don't really, like that, because it's, coming from the anime, it's like, they remain friends. At the end of Cowboy Bebop, Spike dies. But at the end, they're still friends. In a sense, you know what I'm saying? Jet was just like, he still worries for them. He worried for Spike. He worried for Faye. He worried for Ed. And he worried fucking for the Corgi, even though Ein was still there. But in the live action, Jet started to not worry about Spike. He harmed Spike. He punched the shit out of him. Because he took, the syndicate took his daughter. That's another thing. Jet didn't have a daughter in the anime. when I was watching the live action, it's been a few years since I watched the anime. And so I'm watching it, and then I see he has a daughter. And I'm just like, did he have a daughter in the anime? I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I don't think he did. And then I'm watching the anime, and he didn't. And that actually wasn't that bad. They actually played that really well. But they didn't follow the story well, from the anime to live action. And of course, it's not going to be picture perfect. Like I said, it's not going to be picture perfect. But I kind of wish they did do that a little bit more. Because when you watch the anime, you see the episodes that they paid homage to in the live action. And it's like, so the first 5 episodes, that's where they paid homage to for most of this fucking live action. For most of the episodes is the first 5 episodes of the anime in a sense, because it's introducing the characters. But then it's the bounties that they did in those 5 episodes are the bounties that they did in the live action. And of course they did some later on, the later episodes, the one with Jet, being a cop one more time and everything like that, and figuring out, about his arm, and his partner was the one that shot him. They did that episode. They did a couple more episodes, about Faye and figuring out who she is and everything. But it felt very, they were jumping around in the episodes a lot, So overall, those are kind of the only negatives I have for this live action, I felt like Radical Ed should have been introduced a lot earlier, should have been part of the team a lot earlier. The way they betrayed Jet and Spike's friendship, and the way it fizzled out in a sense, and Jet not knowing Spike was part of the syndicate, but in the anime he knew that and everything. And the way they jumped around with the episodes, it wasn't really my cup of tea. But overall, they did pretty well. But of course, if they fix those things, this live action could have been fucking 10 times better, in my opinion. But, yeah, those are my gripes. Those are my negatives. But next up, I'm going to be talking about the positives that they did for this live action. Okay, so the next segment I want to talk about for the Cowboy Bebop live action episode are the positives, what I felt they did really well with this live action coming from the anime. So, of course, you already know one of the positives are the characters. Based on live actions that I've seen beforehand, they really just never portrayed the characters well. But with this one, they did. They portrayed the characters pretty well. Spike, Jet, Faye, the dog, Radical Ed, I guess, at the end. There were some traits that they had that I felt could have been turned down a little bit, take it down a notch, like Faye, or the fact that Jet was a cop and everything like that and stuff like that. But overall, those are positives. The characters were great. Another positive I have to say are the way they paid homage to the anime, because I'll say it like this: when you're watching this live action, if you're someone who has never seen the anime, that's good, because you're gonna enjoy it a lot more. But if you're, someone like me and a lot of people in the anime community, if you're coming from the anime to watch this live action, you've seen the trailers, you've seen the characters, and what's gonna be going down, and you're just like, holy shit, it looks good. Don't watch it thinking, oh yeah, it is going to be, in a sense, like spot on. Everything's going to be just like the anime. No, because of course it's not. You know what I'm saying? It's a live action. But the way you need to watch it is thinking in the back of your mind, this live action is just paying homage to the anime. So some episodes will be similar. They'll be adding in some things, taking out some things. You know what I'm saying? The characters will be a little different from the characters in the anime and everything like that. But if you watch it with that mindset of this is just them paying homage to the anime, and instead of saying, oh yeah, this is a live action anime. If you have that mindset going into live actions, then you're going to enjoy it a little bit more. Because now you're not going to be comparing it, over and over and over and over again. Like every little thing they do. And that's a little better. So, as I watched it like that, I watched it with that mindset as they're just paying homage to it. That it became more of a positive, a better, viewing. Another positive definitely is the fucking intro. Of course, it's not, frame by frame the same intro, because of course, there are some parts in it they can't put in, like Radical Ed and her part and shit like that. But overall, holy shit, they got the music the same, the way all the colors looked and everything. I was just like, oh my God, it was amazing. Like, I remember I first saw it before I watched the live action. I was just like, damn, they really just did that intro. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good. I was like, yeah, that's pretty good. Another thing I loved that was a positive was the scenery. The way everything looked in the live action, because it felt like the anime at some points, all the the casino space and all the different areas that they went through, all the different places and everything. They really paid homage to a lot from the anime, and the scenery was great, even the way the colors looked and everything. It felt like you were watching the anime sometimes, and it was cool. It felt like you were watching the anime, but it was just fucking 3D. But yeah, they did well. But this is just me personally. Another positive was that first episode. In a sense, it paid homage to the beginning of the Cowboy Bebop movie. Because in the movie of Cowboy Bebop, it opens up with, the criminals, and they're in a convenience store. and they're robbing, and the leader is, having a gripe about society, if I remember, about, oh, this world ain't perfect and shit like that. And then you see Spike come in with his headphones on, and then he beats the shit out of all of them. And I was like, damn, that was cool. Now, of course, in the first episode of the live action, they switched the scenery. They switch it from a convenience store to a casino. But with the way the characters were, and the way the leader was talking about how society was bullshit, and then you see Spike come out of the elevator with his headphones on, he takes them off, and he was just like, oh, hey, what's up, guys? He beats everyone up and everything, and then the dude comes out the bathroom, and I was like, all right, I see what they did there. That was a beautiful fucking homage right there. I was just like, okay, this gets a couple more brownie points from me, just because they paid homage to it. And of course, it wasn't the same scenery, it wasn't a convenience store, but it was amazing in my opinion. I was just like, they really paid homage not just to the anime, but the anime movie as well. So it was cool that they did that, because they didn't have to. They could have strictly stayed with the series itself and not, particularly including anything from the movie in a sense. But it was cool that they did that, But those are definitely good, a lot of positives right there. The characters, the scenery, everything that they paid homage to. I love the ending where it says, see you around, cowboy. And it was in like the same font and everything as the anime and everything like that. So there was a lot that they paid homage to from the anime, and it honestly was great. Overall, viewing it, watching it, all 10 episodes, it was great, And I feel like those amount of positives, in a sense, they kind of do outweigh the negatives, because these positives, they're really good positives. People are saying great things about it, even people who have watched the anime. Of course, it's definitely split, but these positives are definitely good enough for you to be like, you know what, I'm gonna watch it. Even if I haven't seen the anime, or I have seen the anime and everything like that, these positives definitely helped me say, you know what, this is a pretty good live action. Based on all other live actions that I've seen, this is the best one thus far. So yeah, definitely. And next segment, I'm going to be talking about where Cowboy Bebop can go, season 2 and everything like that. So get ready for that. Okay, next segment, basically, where can the Cowboy Bebop live action go from here in season 2 and further on into the future and shit? Number 1, introducing Radical Ed. They're gonna do that. I know they are. I've seen, a little, like a gif in a sense of Radical Ed. She steps up to like the door, does like a peace sign or something, then walks off. So they're definitely going to be focusing on Radical Ed and, her being part of the team and everything like that. Something else they can do. Jet and Spike. In some form or way, they need to rekindle that friendship for the live action. Of course, I'm pretty sure they're going to. It wouldn't make sense for it to just be, like Spike and Ed and the fucking dog. It's just like, it's weird. It would be weird to not have Jet there. And of course, Faye, in the anime, she does leave. She comes back near the end, but she leaves, finding herself and, figuring out who she is after losing her memories and everything like that. So with her out of the picture, it wouldn't hinder the live action. But I feel what they could do is have at least, I would say, one episode and it just focuses on her. Figuring out who she is, coming back to the Bebop in a sense at the end of the episode or something like that. And she's just like, I found where I want to be, something like that, in a sense. So that would be cool. Of course, ending it. Could they end it the same way as that? Yeah. I felt like if they did it like that, if they ended the live action the same way as the anime, that'd be pretty good. And of course, spoilers if you haven't seen the anime, but ending it with Spike dying. I did say spoilers, but they could definitely end it really good like that. Will they do it like that? Probably not, because the way the ending was, the girl Julia, who was Spike's lover and everything like that, she chains up who the fuck is it? Vicious. And so he's chained up in the fucking cathedral or some shit like that. And in the anime, she's dead. She dies. So they really just rewrote a lot of shit. But in a sense, that's how I feel it needs to end. It needs to end with Spike's death. Because then they'll just be like, throughout all the crazy shit, it hasn't followed the anime, but it was just like by the end, it lines up. And Spike dies. And it's just like, hey, it still follows the anime in a sense, because Spike's dead. So that's where I think it will go. That's how I think it should go in a sense. Of course, Radical Ed being, I feel like the main point for season 2. I feel like that's how they're going to do it in a sense. But definitely, bringing Spike and Jet back together, Faye figuring out who she is, getting her memories back and everything like that, Spike dying. These are certain points. These are certain ideas that I feel will be happening or should happen come season 2 and, later on in the future if more seasons come. But, I feel like those have to happen, in my opinion, for someone who has, of course, rewatched the anime and everything like that. I feel like that needs to happen for this live action. And of course, do some other bounty hunting and everything like that, and just be fucking the comedy that I know the anime is, be the comedy, the action, the drama, it needs that. I feel like they are going to be focusing a little bit more on the Syndicate, of course, because that's how they did it with this season. But the way it ended, I don't know if it will, because they kind of wrapped up the Syndicate shit in a sense. But yeah, I don't know. Oh, another idea they need to add, and this is just me. The episode when Spike eats that, what the hell was it? A prairie egg to get rid of his hangover. That whole episode was fucking amazing. With the truck driver chick, and she hates bounty hunters and everything like that. That just needs to be an episode by itself, because holy shit, that was an amazing episode. That just needs to happen. I just want to see that egg hit the big screen on Netflix. But yeah, that's what I feel, how the live action will go into season 2. And for more seasons, if it's going to have more seasons, like season 3 or season 4 and everything like that. But that's how I feel it will go and how I feel it should go. So, yeah. Okay, and to wrap it up, it's just going to be a little conclusion here and there in the final segment. So, overall, should you watch the Cowboy Bebop live action? Yes. Now, if you've never seen the anime, perfect. Go into it without any fucking background to the anime, without knowing anything about these characters, without knowing anything about their environment, how the plot goes and everything like that. Just dive into it without knowing, because you're gonna enjoy it a shit ton more. If you have seen the anime and you know that, it's a live action, it's based off the anime, do not go with the mindset of comparing it to the anime every few fucking minutes, because you're going to hate the live action at that point. Of course, there are negatives throughout, but overall, go into this live action with the mindset of this live action is just paying homage to the anime. It's not a live action version of the anime in a sense. You know what I mean? Like, it's just paying homage to it. It's not frame by frame, episode by episode type deal. So go into the live action with that mindset, and you'll enjoy it a hell of a lot more if you've seen the anime. Of course, you know, characters have been portrayed pretty well. You know, some things were bad about the character. You know, Faye Valentine was a little bit of my gripe. The way they portrayed Jet being more of a cop and everything like that. The plot of it, you know, focusing on the syndicate was okay. But, you know, a lot of positives. They paid homage to the anime really well. The intro alone was beautiful. I love how they said, "See you around, cowboy." They added in the big shot, which is the TV for all bounty hunters. You know, they did a lot good with the live action. And I feel like out of all the live actions I've seen, and I've only seen, you know, a handful. I've seen the Avatar one, you know, with Aang, which was complete and utter garbage. I think I saw one about Dragon Ball. What the hell was it? Like Dragon Ball Evolution, and that was shit. I think that was based off of Dragon Ball. I don't know. You know, and this is the best live action, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Could it have been better? Of course. They'll probably improve on it in season 2 when they introduce Radical Ed and everyone's stories, you know, come to a conclusion in a sense, and, you know, they wrap it up and everything. But overall, watch this live action, all right? It was number 1. I don't know if it's number 1 still on Netflix, but it was number 1 for a fucking reason. I would say it like that. It was number 1 for a reason. And that's kind of it. So, thank you for joining me on this episode of the Demonic Wave Podcast. As always, it is your favorite demon, misunderstood demon. And with that being said, it is time for me to sign off. Peace.